So I'm Megan Clifton. I'm head of narrative for a festival called Boomtown. Hands up if you've been to Boomtown before. Oh, that's not bad. Hands up if you hadn't heard of Boomtown before this day. Great, great, yeah. Because I've noticed a bit of a... It's interesting, because we've been doing a lot of things, a lot of immersive type things for 17 years, but we've been in the festival world. So I'm very excited to bring more of you into our family and connect to more of you. So, Boomtown. Oh, quickly. How am I speaking too fast? Yeah, am I legible? Okay, sweet. I get excited. All right. The world of Boomtown, facilitating organic, collaborative narrative to create large-scale, immersive worlds. So I'm going to attempt to tell you about how we build Boomtown, and then I'm going to go over some of the unique challenges with trying to build a 360-degree coherent world over 5 days for 65,000 people. Yeah, if you're like, that sounds impossible, it is. And it's an impossible problem, which means I will never get bored of it, and I love it very much. So yeah, Boomtown, let's go. Can we crank it, please? There you go. That's Boomtown. It's not a bad sound system for a talk. That was all right. So I hope you got a good flavor, the general energy of the place and the diversity and what we're trying to achieve. So what is Boomtown? Yeah, it's a large music and arts festival. So there's 66,000 people on site. It's built around the Boomtown world. So everything that goes into Boomtown, all of the set design, all of the themes of the music stages, and anything we put in, any art, has to be on a foundation of the canon of the world of Boomtown. It's got a storyline that's inspired by socially conscious messaging. So every year, we choose a theme about wellness or climate, something about building a better world, and then we pull the story into it. The storyline is interactive and playable, as best as we can do it. We're constantly looking for new methods and ways to make sure that everyone in our environment feels like they are part of the story and part of the world. And it has a narrative through line going back to 2009. So we've got 17 years of lore. A lot of our people that come are 18 to 24, so they don't know all of it. A fair chunk know as much as me, if not more. Just a little vibe of the timeline. So from 2009, we've had figureheads, we've had characters that have risen to power and been torn down from when Nicholas Boom founded it, all the way through to now. So that's the structure of what Boomtown is. I'll just explain the aim. So yeah, Boomtown is a music and arts festival, and it is, as far as I know, the largest interactive theatre in the world. We aim to create a playable space where our audience can imagine new versions of themselves, new futures for themselves, try new realities on for size, and become what they've always dreamed of becoming. We want to create this other world where the people that come to Boomtown that we call our citizens can feel free to play. This is the reason I've been so excited to meet LARPers today. That's been eye-opening. And the messaging and the encouraging people to be better people and build a better world, it does come through. So I've just got a little clip that I found on YouTube. This is from a YouTube channel called In Amongst It, of someone talking about their experience.
You can take Boomtown with you wherever you are. It inspires you to be a better person, to really sort of like push that out into the world. It's the whole point of this place. It's the whole point of putting people into these weird, crazy scenarios, working with like play and, you know, all these sort of like political ideas that just make us think about the real world in maybe a less serious way.
So that's what we're trying to do, trying to make people build a better world. Here's another little quote. Someone who lost their faith in humanity, finishing university, and since leaving the festival, they felt like they'd been given a second wind or a new outlook. That's what I want. That's what we're trying to achieve. So that's what Boomtown is. That's what we're doing. So where we are now, this year in 2024, we did Revolution of Imagination. That was the title of the year. Every year is a chapter. Every chapter has a title. And the story was designed to communicate messaging around imagining a good future. So the idea for this year was that you're unable to imagine new ideas for positive futures if you're stressed and if you're depressed about the future. So we tried to create an open space where we could all imagine a better world. That was Revolution of Imagination, and the headline story we came up with was obviously an election, because what makes you think about what future you could have more than an election? It was also a really important year for elections all over the world. There was something like 54 elections or something all over the world. Should have had that fact written down, but... So with Revolution of Imagination, we delivered it with 92 theatre crews, over 2,000 performers, and we delivered that story, the election story. We had 6 district stories, because we have theatrical districts. We refer to those as local news. The core story is national news. Many stories, smaller stories, which we refer to as town gossip, and a secret storyline. So lots of stories all the time. You might have seen the start anywhere, follow everywhere in the video. We're really trying to get it across to our audience that there is no start, because that's where our massive queue issues start. At the end of the weekend, it culminated in the closing ceremony, which looks like this. We had 6 closing ceremonies. It's funny. It's funny because one of the spokespeople's in the audience. Hi, hello. So yeah, we had 6 different closing ceremonies, and our audience voted on the future that they most wanted via the Boomtown app. After a weekend of contributing to these visions of the future and stuff. Great. Ooh. Sweet. So, I'm not just going to toot my own horn about how much I love Boomtown. We're all here to learn something, right? So I'm going to talk about these challenges. How do you tell a story to 65,000 people? So the first challenge is the scale of the thing. Yeah, I've learned some pretty cool things today. I've learned about LARPs with 5,000 people. Still a bit of a far cry from 65,000 people. We have an entire department just for the crowd control for the music acts, because we're always trying to make sure that there isn't overcrowding in any one place. So to then overlay a bunch of interactive narrative pathways on top of that is like, our operations team are absolute saints, and they have one of the hardest jobs, I think, in festivals. We've had an increased appetite for interactive experiences. So when we started, when Boomtown started in 2009, there wasn't as much knowledge of immersive experiences, and there wasn't much hunger for it, especially with our audience. The vast majority of people coming to Boomtown loved the set and everything, and that there was a story, but they were there to dance to music. They were there for our headliners, predominantly, you know, and then the story grew as it went on. But while our story was growing, the general appetite for immersive experiences increased. So you probably know this quite well-known quote. The Times had this statistic. In 2013, there were 13 escape rooms. In 2019, there were 1,400 escape rooms in the UK. So that's how interactive playable theatre has like expanded in the consciousness. And that means that many more of our people that come want to know the story, they want to play, they want to talk to our characters, they want to be part of our world. We have to make sure everyone at that festival feels part of our world. So in 2024, 79% of our audience surveyed said they were there in part to talk to characters and do the story. For our 18 to 24-year-olds, that number goes up to 83%. So 83% of our 18 to 24-year-olds want to interact with our story. That also makes me really happy because I love it when young people are interested in interactive theatre because that's all of our futures. Our audience are very unfamiliar with immersive work. Very often it's their first ever thing that they've been to. Oh, you like that picture? Our audience, it might be the first immersive thing they've done, it might be the first interactive thing they've done. And they don't know how to play necessarily, so we have to try and educate them. We also have to make it very simple and accessible for them so that they feel invited rather than obligated. I love that from Sarah's talk this morning. But also we have to keep it safe for our performers. So our rules of the world have to be implicitly built in to what we're doing. We're working with thousands of people that are very, very keen and excited and haven't done immersive before. The 92 cruise thing is beautiful and amazing, and it's also a bit of a challenge. So we need to somehow bring every theatrical crew together to create a cohesive experience. So even though we've got all of these disparate crews all bringing their own thing, it has to feel like Boomtown, and they all have to feel part of our world. So those are a load of challenges, but here's a cute quote. Problems are hidden opportunities, and constraints can boost creativity. So over our years, struggling to keep up with the demand for our interactive storyline and keep everyone playing and happy and satisfied that they're part of it, we've come up with some really beautiful strategies that I think we would not have come up with if we hadn't had these challenges at all. And it could only really have come about with 17 years of development. So yeah, it makes us more creative as a festival. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is organic collaborative narrative. It's the first and the most important thing I want to talk to you about. I could have put it later in the talk, but I'm worried I'll go on about other things and then run out of time. So we're going to do it now. So we're peaking now. I'm sorry, this is what's happening. So organic collaborative narrative. I'm just going to run through how we do it. So this is our new king. This is the collector. He won the election. You don't need to know that, sorry. So the first thing we do is we set the top line. So that is something that Boomtown does. We say, what's the message for the year? What's the story we want to tell? So this year, the message was, help everyone imagine a better future for themselves, the people around them, and the planet. And how do we want to do that with the story? We'll do an election so everyone's thinking about the future. We just set that. We set that. And then we set district identities. So one of the things about Boomtown is obviously it's massive, and we split it into areas. We've got these 2 massive main stages and then 6 theatrical districts, each with their own themed stage that goes with the theme of that district. And then we've got woodland secret parties and stuff. But my domain is these 6 districts. The district identities are varied, and they're designed to encompass different civic philosophies. So every kind of arts collective that might apply to Boomtown would find a natural home in one of these districts, if that makes sense. We want to give a space for the expression of a range of different arts collectives. So who have we got there? That's Old Town. Don't know if you could tell. There's some Old Town pirates. They're good. Next thing we do is a cruise call out. So once we have our district identities, we can then invite our arts collectives to apply to these. Obviously, we have a lot of long-running crews, but we have new crews basically every year. And we take crew applications from walkabout, grassroots, just small groups of performers that want to populate the world, through to sideshows and venues and big spaces and organizations and gangs and all kinds of nonsense. So this is one of our performers from Metropolis. So Metropolis is our futuristic, forward-thinking, kind of bleeding edge of tech district. So you can see how that has a very different aesthetic and mode of expression to Old Town. Yeah, you see, right? So yeah, we set those call-outs. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I needed to say. Yeah, once we've chosen arts collectives that want to work with us, what's really beautiful is however they enter our world is a collaborative chat based on them responding to these districts. So this is how we keep it all cohesive. We leave space for the artists to have their own artistic expression within the space, but within part of the world. A good example of this was we had a new crew this year. They wanted to play disco and do a really surreal cabaret. They were really amazing, and they applied and said, you've got a district covered in plants called Botanica. We've got a district called Botanica. They want to open a garden center and give out... There he is! The venue manager of garden center. Did I explain it right? Okay, great. Oh, Ben, you should wave at everyone. So welcome to Boomtown. You did amazing. And the garden center had this beautiful, because you did the weird cabaret anyway. We had a garden center in the day, and at night, these beautiful living plant goddesses and beings and some sexy garden gnomes would do their cabaret. So it's perfectly Boomtown, because it's in the district, but it's perfectly yours. So we all get to have fun. That's important. All right. Oh, what have I done? Yeah, that's right. Further down the line, we have workshops. So we get the district together, and we all hang out. Yeah. So this is where the stories we tell at Boomtown are fully collaborative. If I just had my head in it, or it would be very easy to be like, oh, I want to write the big thing. I'm going to tell everyone what to do. I'm going to get all the costumes. I'm going to do all the scripts. But we don't have the rehearsal time for that at the scale we're working on at all. And I don't want to, because me coming up with something on my own is nowhere near as good as loads of people all bringing their own unique spin to the provocation and to the messaging. And I think it makes it feel like a real city more as well, because you don't just get one head that makes a city. You have all these different aesthetics and imaginations and all these different vibes. So you have to leave space for the vibe, which is why the organic narrative is so important to me. So anyway, I went off on a tangent. That's only one. If anyone's playing tangent bingo for me, that's just one. That's good. So yeah, at the workshops, we give the provocation. So we had a workshop this year, and I said, hey, we need to help everyone that comes imagine a better future for themselves. And hey, we need to somehow tie into this election malarkey, because obviously there is still a lot of core story. There is a bit of story that is controlled a bit, so we can do the closing ceremonies and mechanically do it. So an example of how we do the workshops is we have a 1920s district called Copperwood. I love Copperwood. It's like Hollywood, 1920s silent film. You get it. It's pretty basic. But yeah, so in the workshop, I said, hey, Copperwood, you're a 1920s dawn of silent film place. How are you going to put someone in the election? But we did it. We put someone from the 1920s in the election. It was fine. And we together decided that one of the characters in their district, Edna von Vanderhaus, would run for election. So the fun bit about the way we build the story here is every venue has a different opinion on Edna von Vanderhaus, right? She's a socialite. She's the daughter of the producers of the place. She's glamorous. She stands for the gentrification of one of our districts. So half of our crews, we go around, and I don't want to tell them what to think. I say, what would your venue or what would your walkabout think about this? Half of our crew said, yes, Edna. Let's open champagne for Edna. All our burlesque cabaret venues were like, we love Edna. Let's pop the champagne for her. But our other crews, the more grassroots crews that didn't like the gentrification, said, I don't want Edna. And so we said, okay, that's great. You're allowed to not like Edna. It's up to you how you respond to the provocation. So those people protested every time she came out. So that was really fun. So this is Edna trying to be heard and give her election manifesto. And this is Foggers Mill, who have been campaigning against gentrification for 3 years now. And this is how many of our audience turned up to join this protest. So, yeah. And when I have space to give the crews the agency to do what's more natural to them, and where it goes wrong for me is wherever I have to limit that agency because of mechanics. When I can give that agency, it's always better on the ground. It's always better. Okay, yeah, so once I've done the workshops, we tie it all together. So this is where, like, you've all seen that image of the guy, I don't remember what TV show it's from, with all of the flowcharts and all of the string, and he's like tying things together and going mad. Some of you can see the meme in your head, and some of you touch grass and aren't online as much as me. But like, we at Boomtown tie it all together. So once you've done all the district workshops, I have to go, right, what does this mean? Okay, loads of people are annoyed about gentrification. That's cool, that's interesting. Can we do something with that? We also get to like do a little stuff with banter and connecting banter, and I refer to that as cross-pollination. So I've held 6 district workshops at this point with loads of the coolest and weirdest people I've ever met, people that run theatre companies and walkabouts all over the world. So I've had all these district workshops, and I get like a main vein into what the collective consciousness of a big chunk of the theatre world are thinking about. So then I have to go back and think about that. Okay, gentrification, it's a big deal. People don't like this. Everyone assumed there'd be a corruption storyline because we were doing an election. Yeah, seems legit, right? So I'm going to have to weave some corruption in, and that's the cross-pollination where we wiggle it all together. But also I get to do fun stuff. Like in one of our districts, there's a laundrette, and the laundrette turns out has a portal in a washing machine. That's fun, right? And then Temple of Zero, I can see Dan from Temple of Zero. Hello, there's loads of you here. They had a haunted photocopier that also serves as a kind of portal. So then, I never got it together, but the idea was going to be get the socks and have them coming out of the photocopier, obviously. So like we make these little connections. No, I didn't do that, did I? Which is a bad example. Next time, yeah, because we'll still have the photocopier. But that's the kind of cross-pollination that we like to do. This is part of making the narrative non-linear. So it's super, super, super important for a festival of this size that our storylines are not linear. A good few years ago now, when there was less interest, and it was called the Immersive Maze, and it was more one story, you could have one beginning, and the few people that did like this sort of thing, that went to festivals, would go through this one trail, get their prize, feel like they'd completed Boomtown. It was a magical time. But now, everyone wants to do that, and it's our job to facilitate everyone doing that. So we can delineate the stories by creating the town gossip. I know the Pirates were doing stuff like this, stealing items from other venues. So we can distract our audience and get them onto other stories by being like, oh, you're helping the Pirates now, or oh, you're writing for the newspaper full time. Okay, I guess that's your weekend. So we try and spread it out. This is another one of our large happenings. This was a rally against all the corruption in the election. Now that was, so I was saying about the crowd management challenges. I had no idea that many people were going to come to that bit. So we definitely need a bigger space for that lot next time. Yep, did all that. So the results of this. I can't express this enough. Facilitating authentic expression of crews, yeah? When you give the artists you're working with, if you're working on a large scale, when you give those artists agency to do what they find funny, their banter, when you can let them express themselves in the way that they see fit, I get a more diverse and beautiful and enriched city from that, but we get a better Boomtown. Because what's funny and interesting and salient to me isn't going to be what's funny and interesting and salient to everyone that comes. So I have to physically let go all the time. Like, I don't really get it, but half the office cracked up, so we're going with that thing. You know, I have to let go sometimes, you know. So facilitating authentic expression of crews, sense of ownership and passion in their role. When crews believe in what they're doing, they are happier to do it, right? And that translates directly to the audience experience. And the thing about Boomtown is loads of them don't go to theatre shows. Loads of them are the kind of people that would describe themselves as getting the ick from a character talking to them. It's probably way out of your frame of reference to like, a lot of people find theatre like it's not their thing. But when you have this kind of layer of authenticity and you haven't got any, we try and have as few performers that look like they don't want to be there behind the eyes as possible. That's basically the situation. I don't want anyone getting the ick because someone's going through the motions in our city. That's not what it's about. Like, and this is like, yeah, this is where we get our sense of community throughout the festival, because it has to be fun. And if it's not fun for the people performing in it, then it's not fun. Yeah? So I try and prioritize fun, let people wear the costumes they want. If it's hot, let them take layers off. Just really make sure that everyone is having an amazing time and can really put their own energy and creativity into their characters. And then this is what's happened over 17 years. It's facilitated the development of grassroots crews. So because not every performer at Boomtown is a RADA-trained drama expert, right? Increasingly, more and more are, as more amazing theatre companies are coming in to help us hold the sheer scale of this thing. And a few of you are here today, and I'm so grateful, because we need the experts. But loads of our performers are grassroots. Maybe it's their first festival, maybe they've done a few cabarets, and like they're coming up, and they're confident to apply to Boomtown and play at Boomtown because it feels like not a permissive, but like a friendly environment where they can try it and have a go. Yeah, and it's also good for us to have people at all levels because it makes our audience feel more comfortable, I think. So yeah, grassroots crews, I'm just going to give you an example of how this worked at Boomtown. This is the Job Centre. I love talking about the Job Centre. Their first year was 2014. They'd come to the festival. Predominantly DJs and ravers, some theatre trained. No, like 2 of them, I think. And they were like, wouldn't it be funny if Boomtown had a job centre and just like in the real world, it was ugly and everyone in there made you feel terrible and that they were literal robots. So anyway, yeah, they got in. This is before my time, but I'm like, I know them well and like developed. Because I'm also a grassroots. That's funny. Yeah, because so I just realised, yeah, I came up through Boomtown as well as a volunteer performer and then a venue manager and now my job. So we do a lot of this. So yeah, Job Centre. They came, they did their thing. It went stupidly well. All of our audience loved being treated horribly in a well-lit tent for hours, which makes no sense at a festival. They queued so much it caused crowd management issues. People would queue for 2.5 hours to be told that they were unskilled and worthless at the Job Centre. And yeah, they got bigger and bigger. And yeah, their crew got bigger and it became more developed. And that's not there anymore because that crew are now the directors of Metropolis. They just direct a whole district now because no one knows how to perform at Boomtown better than these guys. They've done it for 8 years. Some of the initial Job Centre performers are main characters in our story. So this is Talal Karkuti. He's an amazing stand-up comedian. Early days was in the Job Centre. Now one of our main characters at Boomtown. So community, basically, organic collaborative narrative. It makes your life easier when you're not controlling everyone because they all just want to do it, right? That's the thing. It's like autonomy and freedom of expression. We're powered on it. Here's a quote from one of our community. I've been going to Boomtown for 11 years. It's a part of me. I've grown up there. I've worked there, and I have been a punter there. That's like audience, right? It means a lot to me and my friends. I go because it's like nowhere else. So, and I feel that way as well. So, okay, so that's the organic collaborative narrative bit. Another thing we do is large-scale happenings. So this is part of how, we need to hit everyone with our story. We need everyone that comes to feel part of our story. So we can't just be yanking people into secret rooms anymore. It's not a thing. We can't fit them all. how many miles of 3x3 would you have to get a secret room for 60? It's not happening, is it? So we do large-scale happenings. They're also really good for our members of the audience that would not go into a secret room if you paid them, that are nervous and have not done immersive before, and they want something that they can be a more passive observer of, or maybe get involved in with a group so they feel safe. Large-scale happenings. We do parades, protests, flash mobs, trials, games, rituals, conference. Kind of like a Disney parade, except all of our audience are like encouraged to be in it as much as possible. This was a really good, yeah, this is a protest in Old Town. There you are, Miles. You again. What's funny about the happenings, so with me, with our outdoor arts producer, Amy, who's also here, and a group of us, we've been developing this large-scale happenings thing with all of our districts. And a really beautiful and unexpected thing has happened, especially with our younger crew, like the ravers that aren't there for the theatre necessarily. But the last 3 years, we've been doing them, and the more we do them, the more people get involved in them. And we seem to have reached a critical mass where people will just pile in to the happenings. And that's beautiful, and it's magic. It's really important for these to work, right? For a happening to work, that you're basically in the district, in the street, you need a big visual spectacle, and you need it to be really obvious what the situation is very, very quickly, so all the audience can take a side, right? So trials with stocks are like gold. Trials are great. If you can get stocks on a box, wheel it into the middle, 10 actors shouting, you've got 200 people shouting, like in 10 minutes. You know, obviously we have to work with crowd management, but that's what a large-scale happening is. And it's a good way for our audience to feel like they're seeing stuff happen. This is Copperwood again. We filmed a silent film in Copperwood. This was a version of Julius Caesar. And these are all of the audience that painted their own shields to be part of this battle. I know none of them look like shields, but part of this is letting go of control. Like, they painted something. It worked. But yeah, this is Caesar. This was filmed, by the way. And like, this is how many people turned up for this battle. Some of you, especially operations people, will be worried. It was a giant group hug, right, Amy? Did I get it right? And are they shields? Yeah, they're shields. Can all of you see that little whale? Someone just painted a whale and wrote F off underneath, and that was their shield. Like, it has nothing to do with the plot, but I don't care, because not only did they turn up on time to shoot this scene, people that have, like, most of them never engaged with theatre before, they sat in a tent while the headliners were on and painted them, and then came back. And, like, it just makes me so happy that these people are engaging with interactive theatre at this level. And the more people that do it, the more people feel like it's okay to do it. And we just have these beautiful moments where, like, yeah, young people are like so invested in the story that they'll fight you, like, not like physically, but they'll argue. They'll go, no, we love this guy, or we hate this person. They know what's going on. So, collaborative media. Boomtown is a city, 65,000 people, literally the size of some small places people actually live. So obviously, a really good way to move on the narrative of our town is collaborative media. Some of my favorite people at the festival, the Daily Rag. We have a newspaper that is written on site, edited on site, printed overnight. We give out 10,000 copies a day. They are all gone very quickly. We need to up it now. But yeah, we put out the main headlines of what's happened over the festival every morning. They're all available on the Daily Rag's Instagram if you're for any reason interested, but they're all to do with, so this is all election stuff. Oh. And then obviously there was loads of scandals and drink driving and like the vote fixing and like all of that. We put the weather in and it's accurate, which is cute. And we put the votes so far in so people could see who was voting for who, which is cute. We try and make it as much like a real paper as possible. And that was Monday. We put a Monday out digitally, just on the app and in our Instagram. So if anyone didn't make it to the closing ceremony for whatever reason, they could see who won. And that was the collector. A really beautiful thing about the Daily Rag is because our audience feels such a connection to Boomtown in the same way that like our artists do, and the Daily Rag is open to anyone. Anyone can email the editor. So our audience put in marriage proposals, they put in happy birthday to our top lad, they send messages, and they also send obituaries, which is a huge deal and a beautiful thing. And we always put those in. We always honor those. Because if Boomtown meant that much to someone, that they've done that, then absolutely we'll honor that. Yeah, like it's a real paper for a real community in a made-up world. I mean, the real world's made up. That's the point. Billboards. Billboards are fun. They're also quite expensive, but they do really good storytelling. So if you're not here at a point where this guy isn't here, he's campaigning to be voted for, he'll always be there. So that helps us tell our story. We also get a range of designers to do all of these, so it looks more like a city. If we just had one designer, it wouldn't look real. And we invite every single one of our venues. If they send me poster designs and billboard designs, I'll try and find space for them so that their message is amplified, obviously, and we get a more diverse town as well. That's the thing about a lot of these arts crews that I didn't say earlier, actually, is like a lot of them have very much their own civic philosophy, their own message they want to deliver, and their own things that they care about that they want to communicate. So the main thing I want to do is like put them in a space that's appropriate for the city and then give them a platform to express what they want to express. That's really important to me because they have a ready, hungry audience at Boomtown. So yeah, as much as we can, I'm like, hey, do you want to be on a poster? Do you want to be on a billboard? Do you want to be in the paper? How else do you want to further whatever you're doing? More billboards. And then, yeah, posters. This is Aurora Venturestone. She was in Metropolis. Also used to work in the job centre. It's funny, that. Yeah, I've said everything about posters. We get a lot of our posters specifically done. So this is another one of our new artists to graduate. Super cool. And what we did in Copperwood, because we have loads of silent film celebrities, we have loads of performers that are meant to be famous and in silent movies. So the posters we got done for Copperwood were illustrations of those people, so they could pose next to their posters and look like they were really famous. I don't know why there's a monkey in it. That's just some Boomtown business. Monk Beth. That's the person that was running in Botanica, the Great Mother. Sweet. Another thing that we do now is tannoy systems. Tannoy systems are so cool. We've only had our second year of tannoys, but borrowing it from the theme park industry, really, I was like, the districts are going to feel so much more real, and you're going to get so much more of a context switching from one place to the other if there's like theme park music, right? So that's fun. We've got tannoys in 4 of our districts now, and they do a combination of just background music, like themed music, and then radio news reports that further on the news. So it's another way to hit our audience with story. Yeah, weird little sound bites and things. We've got like a giant head that's come out of the ground that just makes horrifying ambient drone. It's one of my favorite things. People lie against it and just rest. It's nice. So yeah, tannoys are cool. Like, they're worth looking into. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to finish early, but that's fine. We also have the Boomtown party line, Call for a Good Time. So who's played with Twilio before? Some people. It's so good. So you can make phone trees. If you don't know this already, take this for free, please. You can make phone trees for like no money. And then you tie them to a number. And, you know, like press 1 for this, press 2 for this. Get Twilio. Like, I don't know, I'm not being sponsored by them, but like, please. It's so fun. So again, we deliver our core story through the Boomtown party line. So obviously, for a better future, press 1. For anarchist mayhem, press 2. You know, like, I can't remember any of them. I'm just making them up. I don't know. And all of the venues are invited to have a bit on the phone tree as well. And anyone that's got a secret thing, that's invited to go on the phone tree as well. We had one number that was just the sound of the ocean. And I don't actually know why now, but it will be related to something. And we put deep, dark secrets on the party line. So there is an avenue to some secret experiences that won't have a queue and stuff. So at least some people that are really hunting for it can dig down and find these special things. This year as well, I'm trying to bring them back. I've got this, I keep going on about it. We've got to bring back the little tents. You know, we've made all this big parade stuff and boosted that, but I miss the secret tents. So yeah, that's the party line. Boop. And then we also have the Boomtown app. So we've been working on the app. Now the app is in world, which not everyone wanted to do, but it's happened now. The app is in world, so we can put the daily rag headlines in the app every day. So you've got the headlines of the story next to the music lineup and everything. So it really feels real. And if people are waking up hungover in their tent, they can just read the daily rag and be part of the world. Oh yeah, information screens. Did I do that one? No, yeah. We also have touch screens on site, so if anyone's anything like me, turns up and goes, oh my God, I need to learn all 17 years of the deep lore of Boomtown immediately, there's like a paragraph for each year and all the characters on like a wiki that's touch screen, only at the festival. Boomtown exists at Boomtown only. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I've said a bit about this and I want some time for questions, but we have a fair amount of audience participation, and we encourage this, and we want the audience to be able to bring their own things. Sometimes we have to manage and control this. All the time I'm doing this, I'm containing the story and making sure nothing gets too out of hand or anything. But yeah, we let the audience, we let the audience bring their own currency. A lot of our audience, we have Boomtown bucks, but audience bring their own currency. And I've said for a few years now, all currency is valid as much as the actor in front of you decides that they like the design on that currency. So I think we counted like over 50 different kinds of currency in 2023. We had a bureau de change for all the different kinds of currency. And people make their own coins and with their mates' faces on, and I love it. Council of Bens was a great example of audience participation. A guy just wrote on the app, hey, I'm called Ben. Does everyone else that's called Ben want to meet at Baseline Ben, which was a DJ? 200 Bens came. And then you couldn't hear the DJ because they were all chanting, Ben, 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 Ben. And one guy and then they came back the next year, gave out stickers, my name is Ben, my name is Ben. So this year, we gave them a takeover. We let anyone called Ben DJ in the garden centre, and I am so sorry about how many people turned up. And the best thing about Council of Bens is because we said, no, we recognize you, we see you, that was cool, you made that happen. Please, take some time on our stage. They have a group chat now. They have multiple group chats. So they've got a group chat that's just called Mental Health, which is about men supporting men. And it's beautiful. It's funny, yeah, but it is also beautiful. They write about their troubles. Some of them climbed Ben Nevis together. And they filmed themselves on Ben Nevis. And they're going to do a Ben renaming ceremony next year, so you can all legally change your name to Ben. Although they said you don't need to, because if you've got the Benergy, you're fine. So we love the Bens. Okay, oh my goodness, yeah. Last thing I'm going to say, if you want to build these like massive, sprawling, open world, interactive, collaborative narratives, is you'd have to let go. You'll try and make something happen and it won't work. Things will break, things will crack. Too many people will go one way, so you'll have to move a clue somewhere else. You'll have to do things on the fly, and you have to let go of the outcome. Sometimes things won't go exactly as you'd hoped. And you just have to always be striving and changing and dynamic on the ground. My job and the job of my team on the ground is just running around with my arms wiggling in the air, changing stuff so that it doesn't break. And like it's when you're giving this much freedom, that does sort of happen. But I am going to talk to you LARPers about how to structurally support that a bit better. We adore chaos because we love to produce order. So Boomtown is chaos, and it's an endless joy to just constantly be trying to sort it out. So to summarize, these are how we've so far answered the challenge of how to tell an interactive story to 65,000 people. Empower your collaborators. Might sound like a cop-out. It's not. It's like you get a better, everything is better when you empower people. We've all got amazing ideas and expression inside us. And if you can create a permissive atmosphere and facilitate authentic expression, you will get something way better than you could have made on your own. Really. That's the big thing for me. And the audience will sense it, they'll know it's real, and they'll get involved. Second thing, prioritize audience accessibility. Multiple entry points. Start anywhere, put in as many little start points as you can, and have many levels of engagement. Billboards, newspapers, like themed areas, little secret rooms, big parades. Just try and hit them on all levels, yeah? Utilize large-scale happenings and media. Kind of the same thing, actually. That could have been one bullet point. And then be dynamic on the ground. Be prepared to change the plan, because it's not just yours. It's organic and collaborative, so it belongs to everyone there. So, yeah. That's the end of everything I've wanted to talk about. I hope that's been useful for all of you. I am going to come to the networking. I'd love to chat to you all, especially if I've never seen you or you've not heard of me or I've not heard of you. Thank you very much.